Good morning, my dear children. Today I extend my hearty welcome to you all as it is your first class. You're in class 11. So a new phase of life starts. It's really very challenging, isn't it? In 11-12 is a phase where you will have to boost up your innovative mind. You will have to enhance your writing skill and reading skill. Now, today I'm going to tell you about your chapter, a photograph, the first poem in your hornbill. Before that, I would like to say, I don't know whether you have the books or not. You have two books. One is Hornbill, another is Snapshot, that is a supplementary reader. And the grammar portion is there also, but you need not buy any reference book for that in class 11. In question paper, you will have three sections. First is a reading section in which you will have two passages for comprehension. Now in section B, you will have the writing portion and grammar. And in section C, you will have literature. And literature comprises of two books I had already mentioned. Now, due to pandemic and this catastrophic disaster as you are facing, your syllabus is reduced. So, this year, your question paper will be divided into two parts. Part A comprises of all the multiple choice questions. In the reading section, two passages will be there of 18 marks. In section B, you will have grammar, determiners and tense only. In section C, literature, extracts from poetry and all, 40 marks. And in part B, you will have all the subjective type questions. Maximum marks allotted for the long answer type question is 5 and word limitation 120 to 150. Now, after teaching this poetry in the next class, I'll dictate the whole thing in details. Okay. Now let's start the poetry, the first chapter of your book, this Hornbill. Now, a photograph by Shirley Tolson. Shirley Tolson is a prolific writer and she writes about all the British works of life, ancient tracts and tradition. And in this poetry, a photograph, she writes about the sad sweet reminiscences of her past. And a photograph is actually a tribute to the poet's mother, who is no more in this world. Now the theme of this poem is a contrast between planned past. We often plan what to do. So this is a contrast about the planned past and unknown future, because we do not know what will be in our future, isn't it? Now, this poem is a tribute to the poet's mother, who is no more in this world. Now, the main themes run like that: contrast between the planned past and unknown future. Now, the brevity of human life. Brevity of human life. That means human life is short. You never know when we pass away. Okay. Then the inevitability of death. I am writing here, inevitability of death. It's unavoidable. It's a harsh truth of life. It is the ultimate reality of life, which is expressed beautifully in this poem, a photograph. So a photograph is a photograph of the poet's mother. It's a tribute to pay homage to the poet's mother, who is no more in this world. So life is immortal. And in the writing especially, the mortality of life is immortalized through the writing of the poem by Shirley Tolson. Now I am reading out each and every line and explain it. You see, in this poem there is a change of tone from joy to despondency. You see, the cardboard shows me how it was. This is the first line. The cardboard, that is a framing of the photograph. How it was. It was means the photograph which was in the past. When the two girl cousins went paddling, each one holding one of my mother's hands. When the two girl cousins went paddling, they were swimming in the shallow water, and each one holding one of my mother's hands. That means the poetess's mother was the oldest one and the tallest one in the middle, and she was holding each hand of her cousins. And she, the big girl, already mentioned. She, the big girl, that means the oldest one and the tallest one. That's why the poetess mother is referred to as the big girl. And after that, there's a hyphen. So the punctuation mark indicates pause, hesitation, some 12 years or so. Some 12 years, at that time the poet's mother was of 12 years or so. All three stood still to smile through their hair. All three. Who are the three? The poetess's mother and her two girl cousins. Stood still to smile through their hair. What does it indicate? First of all, there is a poetic device, alliteration. Stood still to smile. You see, S sound is repeated thrice. So it's an alliteration. The poetic device is alliteration. Through their hair, that means a gentle breeze is blowing, and that particular thing is expressed by the poet through their hair. That means they are smiling through their hair at the uncle with the camera. Their uncle is taking the snapshot and they are just standing. A sweet face, my mother's, that was before I was born. And it's quite natural at that time, the poetess mother was of 12 years old. So naturally, she was very sweet, and the poetess's mother was enjoying sea holiday when she was in her girlhood, or rather in her childhood days. And the sea, which appears to have changed less, washed their terribly transient feet. And the sea, which appears to have changed less, there's a metaphorical meaning. The significant meaning is this: the sea which appears to have changed less, that is nature. Sea is a natural entity, it's nature. So nature is immortal. Nature is eternal. Nature is permanent. So it appears to have changed less. Washed their terribly transient feet. Mother is no more in this world. So washed their terribly transient, the terrible. This adjective is used before transient. What is the meaning of transient? Means temporary, which is mortal, isn't it? Terribly transient feet. Here feet indicates human body. That means mother is no more. After the sea holiday, people come and go, and the mother here also enjoyed sea holiday, and after that she passed away. Now washed their terribly transient, this is a transferred epithet. The poetic device used here is transferred epithet. And transient feet. Feet indicates human body. That means a part indicates a whole. So it's the poetic device here is synecdoche. Okay. synecdoche. Synecdoche. Now let's come to the next stanza. So the first stanza is about the childhood period of the poetess's mother when she was enjoying her sea holiday with her girl cousins. So this is a very joyful. This is the period of gaiety and mirth of the poetess's mother. Now next, I'll come to the second stanza. Some 20-30 years later, and in between there is hyphen. Again it indicates pause, and this pause, this hesitation indicates despondency. This is a writing style. The poetess is filled with nostalgia when she is reminiscing the past days of her mother when she observed the photograph. She would laugh at the snapshot. See Betty and Dolly, she would say, and look how they dressed us for the beach. The sea holiday was a past, mine is a laughter, both wry with the labored ease of loss. Now, if the poetess's mother had seen the photograph, then she would have laughed at it, seeing the scantily dressed two sisters, girl cousins. Now the sea holiday was a past. Why sea holiday was a past? Obviously, the childhood days were over. Secondly, the mother is also no more in this world. And mine is a laughter. To the poetess's mother's laughter is also no more. Both rhyme. So what are both? Both refers here to the poetess's mother and the poetess's despondency. Both wry with the labored ease of loss. With much difficulty, the poet had to accept the inevitable. That is the unavoidable death of the poetess mother. So the brevity of human life is expressed beautifully by her prolific writing here in the second stanza. And with the labored ease, you see labored, that means with much difficulty and ease, just the contrast to labor. Both are contradictory words. Labored ease. Okay. L-A-B-U-R-E-D, labored ease. You see two contradictory words are placed side by side, and the figure of speech used here is oxymoron. O-X-Y-M-O-R-O-N, oxymoron. Now, the second phase is over. Let's come to the last stanza. Now she has been dead nearly as many years as that girl lived. That girl means 12 years. That means she is nearly dead for 12 years. And of this circumstance, there is nothing to say at all. It's silence silences. Yes, obviously, with death, the environment becomes silent. And death silences the environment, and with death, a person also becomes silent forever. So naturally, this is also a metaphor and as well as personification. It's silence silences. That means death silences the environment, and with death a person also becomes silent. So the poetess is totally speechless at this, and she is reminiscing the sad sweet remembrances of her past. Why sad sweet remembrances? Because in the first stanza, when she was observing the photograph, she was enjoying. In the second stanza, she enjoyed the motherhood of her mother. And in the last stanza, she was expressing melancholy. She was expressing despondency. She was filled with sadness. She was completely speechless. Now this is the overall meaning of the chapter. You see the change of tone. The change of tone is from joyfulness to dismal ending. Okay, so in this way, the poetess Shirley Tilson expresses, or rather manifests, her tribute or homage to her mother through this writing. That's all for today. In the next class, I'll give you the question and answers of this chapter, the summary of the chapter, and the detailed question pattern which are supposed to come in examination. Thank you, children. Thank you very much.